Global warming is real. It is happening today. It is being charted by our satellites. It is being charted by our scientists. And it is being charted by those of us in this body. And I think the real key is if we were ready to admit the fact and take the action to make the necessary conservation. Dianne Feinstein said this, and it's on the danger that we are facing today, which is global warming. Today I'm going to inform you about global warming. I'm going to talk about the rising temperatures and how they're endangering our animals. I'm going to talk about the rising sea levels, and I'm going to talk about how global warming affects our freshwater supply. Alrighty. The rising temperatures that are endangering animals, we're destroying their habitats, we're losing their wetlands. This nation has more than 88,000 miles of tidal shoreline, and this is basically where the saltwater and the freshwater mingle together. These habitats are a transition zone, and they're one of the most productive habitats on Earth. Louisiana is home to about 40% of the nation's coastal wetlands, and it houses more than 120 plant species. These wetlands contain important nursery areas for many marine species and harbor large populations of wintering waterfowl, bald eagles, and a diversity of other wildlife. So as our planet continues to heat up and the sea levels tend to rise, it's destroying these wetlands, and it's also destroying habitats of hundreds of animals. We're also seeing a loss of Arctic environments, and this is mainly due to the glaciers melting due to rising temperatures, and as these glaciers melt, there's less and less space and a comfortable habitat for these Arctic animals to survive on. We also are seeing a loss of rainforest, and as you know, we get 60% of our oxygen from the rainforest. As we're overforesting and over-harboring for furniture, we're stripping away this habitat and our oxygen supply, and we can't grow this back. The rainforest cannot just be grown back. Next, I'm going to talk about the rising sea levels. According to National Geographic, core samples, tide gauge readings, and satellite measurements tell us that over the past century, the global mean sea level has risen by 4 to 8 inches. And it doesn't seem like much, but it's happening at such an accelerated rate that our world just can't keep up. And the effect it has on us is the rising sea levels can contaminate the drinking water, interfere with farming, because as the water gets saltier, most of our crops can't handle salty soil. We can see a change of coastal plant life. Trees have to work harder to pull water out of salty oil. As a result, their growth can be stunted, and if the soil is salty enough, they will die. Even trees that are suited for salty soil can't survive repeated flooding by seawater. And finally, how global warming will affect our freshwater supply. Fresh water is crucial to humans, not just for drinking, but we also farm with it. We wash our clothes and we shower with it. It's a key part to everyday life. It is expected to become increasingly scarce in the future, and that is partly due to climate change. Considering that 98% of our water is salty and only 2% is fresh, of that 2%, almost 70% is snow and ice, and 30% is from groundwater, and then less than 0.5% is surface water, lakes and rivers, and less than 0.05 is in the atmosphere, rainwater. Climate change has several effects on these in the global scale. The main one is that as the polar ice caps melt, all that fresh water that was stored in there is just going into the sea and changing into salt water. So we're pretty much just like melting. We're getting rid of all of it. And as we have a scarcity of fresh water, we can see a spread of more diseases. This has a direct effect on us. In fact, according to the UN's Environmental Program report, over 1/2 of the world's hospital beds are occupied with people suffering from illness linked with contaminated water, and more people die as a result of polluted water than are killed by all forms of violence, including wars. Fresh water is extremely important for us. We cannot survive without fresh water, and as water becomes scarce, we can even see it now. Some countries don't have fresh water. They have to drink contaminated water, and it is becoming a serious problem. So that's my report on global warming. As we can see, we went over how rising temperatures are affecting animals and their habitats. We also discussed rising sea levels, and the scarcity that global warming will cause for fresh water and how that will affect us. As the National Geographic for Atmospheric Research scientist Gerald Mell once said, many people don't realize that we are committed right now to a significant amount of global warming and sea level rise. The longer we wait to do something, the more change we will have.